much. Ladies and gentlemen, please imagine a table, just a table tennis table, and two players, two athletes on two sides of it, but they don't have the rackets. I don't know if you've heard of Tecbol. Everything will be clear in a moment. Just inviting you to a presentation by Mr. Gergely Murányi, who is the head of corporate social responsibility and diplomatic relations in Tecbol. Gergely, can you hear me?
Mam nadzieję, że mamy połączenie.
I hope that the connection works.
Yes. Gergely, the floor is yours. If you can hear me, yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. So, welcome everybody. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity. We have already had some common projects with the WIPO. So I'm very pleased to be there and have the opportunity to present what we are doing at Tecbol. Please show the next slide. When we started Tecbol in 2013, the core idea was very simple. It all started as a very simple idea with a regular ping pong table. The person who came up with the idea of Tecbol, he's called Gergely Murányi, who played this very simple game on a regular ping pong table. And that's the key message of what we are doing. The ideas and possibilities are around us. We just need to identify them and leverage these opportunities. Please show the next slide. He played this football-based game on a regular ping pong table in Budapest. And then he came up with the idea that what if we would curve a simple flat table, which would make everything more ideal to play this game, what we call Tecbol. So we created a new sport equipment with the three founder, Victor Huszár, who was the person behind Tecbol, who had the technology and the engineering part, Gyuri Gattyán, who was our main investor and a great supporter of Tecbol, and of course there were Gábor. Please show the next slide. So we created a new equipment based on a normal ping pong table, which is ideal for so many places, for simply the families, for parks, for leisure centers, or for the schools. Because with this simple idea, we created a new equipment, a new sport equipment, and a new sport as well. Because on the Tecbol table, we can play 5 different games. So since the very beginning, we had to understand what we have in our hands. We created a new brand, we created a new sport, we created a new lifestyle. Protecting the intellectual property was a key since the very, very beginning. The biggest struggle for us at the beginning was that how to find an investor without risking that somebody will steal the idea of Tecbol. So it wasn't a question since the very beginning that we will protect what we have, we will protect our intellectual property. Please show the next slide. With the equipment that we created, we say it helps the people to bring back the joy of football to our backyards. But we always wanted to concentrate on the protection of the value that we are created. We have 2 core design patents, 1 core utility patent, and 6 core marks. And we, as you can see, we use the Hague system, the PCT system, and the Madrid system as well. We put our headquarters into Luxembourg because of the legal background, which help us to protect our intellectual property. Please show the next slide. at the beginning, we created only one table that was called the Tech Ball 1. That was the very first table that we created, which was which was a fixed structure that, for example, the city councils can put into public parks, for example. Then we created the Tech Smart table, which is a foldable mobile version. But the very important part was that we didn't want to create only a tool which can be used, but we wanted to create something which looks nice, so the people can identify with this new lifestyle, with this new brand. So it was important since the very beginning how we concentrate on creating the design. And we won with all the models that we have. We won Red Dot Design Award, IF Design Award, Hungarian Design Award. We won an innovation award by the Hungarian Intellectual Property Organization as well, what we are very proud of. Please show the next slide. But even with the, let's say, the so-called cheaper or let's say more affordable version, we still try to concentrate on the design and of course the quality of the product that we have. What you can see there, these are the newest, let's say the youngest members of the product line that we have. Please show the next slide. When we created the Tech Ball, we created a new sport as well. And beside of the legal protection, the best way to protect that we created is the sport itself. Right now, there are more than 10,000 Tech Ball tables available for the public all around the world. But what can protect our intellectual property in a very strong way is the sport itself, because we created an international sport federation as well. And right now we have more than 100 national sport federation, national Tech Ball federation around the world. And more than 60 of them was recognized by the Global Association of International Sports Federations. Please show the next slide. We would like to inspire other people as well to believe in what they have created, but concentrate on the protection of the intellectual property. Please show the next slide. Maybe it's just stuck there. Of course, yeah. The equipment itself, it's very easy to integrate into the ecosystem of a city, or into the ecosystem of the world of sport in general. So we're working on to make it available for more and more people. And what we realize that there are countries where the table itself is not available, but the demand is getting bigger and bigger. Please show the next slide. Of course, in building the sport and the brand, the whole COVID situation made everything quite difficult, but I think I don't need to explain it because everybody had the same situation. But as a brand, as a new product, we had to adapt to those things which are around us. And it's just one example that we were, since the very beginning, we realized that we have to adapt ourselves to the present situation that we had because of the global pandemic situation. So what you can see there is just an example of a product that we created. First, we created a Tech Ball mask just to protect our colleagues and just to provide something which makes more uniform outlook for those athletes whom we are working with. But then we realized there are more and more companies, you can think about the fashion brands, who created the same thing and started to sell it. So even the COVID situation forced us to create new products, but the design was very important in this. And protect the intellectual property, design communication is very important. And that's the key, because we would like to win all those people who can identify with the brand and the product that we have. Please show the next slide. the equipment and the sport was ideal even in this situation as well. And because of the details of the sport, we were able to ensure that social distancing even during the COVID situation. So we try to leverage even the pandemic as well. If I just think about the situation in Hungary, that all the sport parks were closed, but not the tag ball tables and not the ping pong tables. So it was important to provide an opportunity for the people to keep their active lifestyle in any way. So I can say that we were able to leverage even the pandemic situation as well. We can show the next slide. What I've mentioned with the power of sport, we created not just a new brand, but we created a passion-based, a community based on passion. And when I say community, I'm talking about sport. If you think about the big sport brands, most of them has quite a lot of different products for different kind of sports. But what we have, we created a brand and we created a sport as well. So the task is much bigger for us than just simply creating a new brand. Next slide, please. With the help of with the power of sport, and we had to think about not just as a brand, but we had to think about, I always say the example that we have to think as an independent country, for example. Now it is important for us that what are those initiatives that we support, like humanitarian initiatives or climate protection, which is important for us and which should be shown in the brand communication as well. Please show the next slide. And with the gaining popularity, new products has been created, which should be protected as well, because what we have, the product, it's not just a physical product. Our products are the events as well, like today we will have football games between France and Portugal, for example, here in Budapest. The Euro Cup is a brand. That is an intellectual property as well. So the range of our intellectual properties gained much wider with the power of sport. Please show the next slide. And while we are concentrating on building the sport, the famous football players started to join to the, let's say, to the universe of tag ball. And this thing strengthened the power of our brand as well. And of course, raised the awareness of both the sport and the brand. Please show the next slide. You will see just some of those famous football players and stars and athletes who has already purchased the tag ball table. And a lot of people ask us, how much money we spend on these famous athletes to make the product more popular? And the answer is easy. Please show the next slide. We never ask them to be, let's say, a brand ambassador. They wanted to participate in a new, let's say, in a new fancy sport. So that's a big plus, and that's a big strength for the brand itself. Please show the next slide. But of course, as the product is getting more and more popular, and of course the football stars getting their customized tables that you can see there, and these are just some of the examples that, for example, the Juventus football club ordered from us, or like these famous football players. Please show the next slide. As the awareness getting bigger and bigger, and as we are reaching more and more people through our social media surfaces, we recognize a problem, let's say. Please show the next slide. Of course, if there are those companies which manufacturing fake products to create the false feeling that they're creating a fake Adidas shoes, for example. There are these copy tables that people created everywhere in the world, most of them in Brazil. But if you check the small picture at the bottom with the blue table, it was broadcasted in Fox television. And what we had to realize is that most of these people who created a fake, let's say fake table, they created with not a bad intention, because they never wanted to sell these products as a fake tag ball table. They just consider the product as well, that it's just a sport. So we have to ask ourselves that should we legally attack these people, even if they just create it for themselves? Because from one hand, that harms the intellectual property, that harms the, let's say, the business. But from the other hand, it can strengthen the sport itself. So we had to differentiate between these kind of fake products. But of course, there are those companies who started to create the fake products and started to sell it for a high profit. So of course, we have these not competitors, but with these problematic people around the world. Please show the next slide. And just to mention that, as I said, that we have to think about ourselves as not just a brand, but because of the International Sports Federation, we should concentrate on ourselves as a country as well, let's say. We started to have CSR programs with refugee programs in the Zatar refugee camp in Jordan, in many African countries. And I can say that is strongly part of the brand, what we can and the people can identify with, and that can strengthen the image of the brand as well. Please show the next slide. And in these projects that we are doing with the corporate social responsibility programs, the Hungarian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade were always a very big help and a very big support us through their diplomatic network, because without them it would have been quite difficult to reach some of the distant African countries. Please show the next slide. So just to summarize the message, what we are always saying in Hungary is that protecting the intellectual property is a key, not just in building a new sport or building a new brand, but to protecting those values that we have created. Because there are many startups, not just in Hungary, but from all over the world, who are coming to us and ask for an advice that how they can start to develop what the idea, what they have created. And that's always in some part of the first advices that we give them. Protecting the intellectual property is the key. That must be the first step, as it was the first step for us as well. And while I'm talking in the background, you can see that the passion, what a sport can generate, regardless of the age, the gender, or anything, there isn't anything like sport. So that's why we are lucky that what we created, the new brand, it's based on sport, and now it is a movement, not just simply a brand. Thank you very much. That was my presentation. So thank you for the possibility and for the invitation as well.